Hey guys, so this has been one of the most highly anticipated music videos in K-pop history, Love Wins All by IU featuring BTS's V. We knew that before he enlisted into the military that V had gone to the ocean side to film this music video, along with his smashing Harper's Bazaar cover that's also going to come out, or in Korea right now, probably has already come out. But if you're wondering like what this music video means, we're gonna break it down because most of y'all who have seen it, and I suggest that you see it before we go into this video, you will definitely have felt something. What did you feel though? And why? Well, I'll give you my opinion because y'all want to know what my shady mouth says, but this one today is more about going deep. So if you want to go deep, get aboard because this ship ain't waiting. So if you watch this, I think you have to watch it at least 3 times. First, you have to watch it for the mini movie. It's about 5 minutes long, and they intentionally made it a mini movie. V and IU talked, and they were like, what kind of project do you want to do? And V said, I want to do sort of like a thriller acting type of project. So it was really cinematic, and I think they did it really well. So there is a movie story to follow along. Second time I think you watch it, I think you have to like listen to the song, listen to the music, listen to the lyrics. Third time, I think, then you kind of like pay attention to like the IU or the BTS V, kind of like, celebrity worship or something like that. So those 3, maybe not in the same order as me, but that was kind of the same order. Then the 4th time, I was like, okay, I want to go look at it and notice things that I didn't notice in the first 3 times. And then the 5th time, I was just like, I'm feeling all sorts of feelings and I don't want this feeling to end, but I need to sort this out. So I need to see it again. So I watched it at least 5 times. And in a nutshell, I think reason why it kind of hits deep, just kind of give you the answer and then we'll work backwards, is that I think it really does make you think about what could have been, or what the world or what a situation in your life could have been like if only it had just been a little bit different. If things had just worked out a little bit differently, maybe it wouldn't have been so sad. It is a sad, kind of poignant type of music video. And I think in this case, I was trying to figure it out because it's like, not meant to be. So, why does it feel different from accepting what wasn't meant to be? I think that's a different feeling. The feeling that I got, I think, was actually losing what was meant to be. So think about, if there's a relationship, if there's a job, if there's a like kind of situation in your life, and that it was pretty much meant to be, or it was a good thing, but actually there were just situations where you had to lose that, or it was actually good for you, but in the end, you did have to lose it. I think it's a little bit different because, there are forces that are bigger than you, choices that other people are making that affect you. I think that hits a little bit differently from when you're just like, oh, well, that just wasn't meant to be, so it's easier to accept. It's losing something that was really meant to be. And I think that's infinitely sadder. Of course, that fits totally with IU's music. This is more of a piano type of lullaby. IU, she's a good singer. Sometimes she does that happy stuff, but her whole mood is just like, it's kind of like a viola. It's not the flute. It's more like that dark, bittersweet chocolate, instead of like hot cocoa. You know what it really reminded me of, though? I haven't felt this in a long time from like watching something. But if you told me, hey, sum this up, what was this? I'd say like, okay, if you had to remake Titanic, with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet as a 5-minute K-pop music video, but as a sci-fi love story where aliens have destroyed the world, then this is it. I don't know how old y'all are, but if you were of a certain age and you did see Titanic in the movie theater, I think you get that similar feeling, because it's like the same feeling of that deep, faded, tragic love. And it didn't seem like those two were not meant for each other. It did actually seem like Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, the characters, were meant to be together, but there was a tragic situation that they couldn't control, like the Titanic sinking, and from decisions that other people made, like, building it all crappy or going too fast or being greedy to, go too fast, or some of the other conspiracy theories out there, but things beyond their control that made them lose what could have been really beautiful and what should have been meant to be in a different timeline or dimension, if you want to go there. So if the ship didn't sink, or if people wouldn't have made those choices to lead them to that tragic point where, they had to part, or if Kate Winslet would have just thought for a second and maybe shared space on that door, maybe he would have lived. So the creator of this music video by IU said that they were trying to find the antonym of loneliness, and that was also in the lyrics. And I think she found it in this music video. I think in some interviews she's saying like, she's still searching for it. But in my opinion, loneliness's antithesis is when you just have like one person who really understands you and sees you. And at the core of this music video is IU and V literally really seeing each other, with the camcorder, and without is like the harsh reality of this dystopian world that they're in. They're trying to escape the aliens and like run for their lives. And then through this camcorder, like the idealized version of themselves, their hopes, their dreams, or what could have been, sort of like, how this whole kind of, like love works. And so they really did, I think, see each other. And I actually felt less alone after watching this music video. So kudos to, I think, the creators, because, well, at least for me, I think they really did sort of solve that question. So let's break down the music video itself, like the sequence. So in the beginning, they're running away from the threat, definitely in the genre of the current moment, the quiet place, or leave the world behind. Something has attacked the world and people are fleeing to the ends of the earth to survive. And of course, it's some alien force, like we don't know what it is, but it's some powerful force. And in this case, there's these like cubes that are flying around. And some of the netizens are saying like, oh, it's the Tesseract from the Marvel series, which sort of makes sense because apparently the Tesseract has the power of time travel, and nostalgia, time played a very strong motif in this music video. Because when they run, they're running towards an abandoned resort hotel, and it actually is a real abandoned resort hotel in Naksan in the east coast of Korea. There's kind of like a lot of abandoned seaside resorts there, I think. Like frozen in time. I've been there a lot. It's kind of creepy to look through. There's one where it was even like, you kind of look through like an old like nightclub, and yeah, a lot of bad choices. And what I heard is that there's a lot of fights among the landowners to try. That's why they can't really redevelop, but I think now they're redeveloping it. They've kind of like pushed through that, but there are some you can see like, wow, frozen in time. And so they're in this abandoned resort hotel, and there is some sort of like deep melancholy. They don't really explain, but there's like this little store, and I had to pick apart like, what did this like store's name say? It says Horizon Portal. So it's definitely not like the name of any kind of actual convenience store in Korea. And I think that's literally sort of like the Tesseract. It's like Horizon is sort of like the border between like the land and the sky. It's also, they're saying like, it's kind of like the border between like your consciousness. So it's kind of getting into this metaphysical realm, which I also thought was kind of cool about this. And so why are there all these like random old, things? Well, I guess because if it was like an old store, but they had like a computer, like they were just really pressing upon, like this was like late 80s, early 90s, the camcorder, the VHS tapes, the old Macintosh computer. And I think it was kind of like to reemphasize like this deep melancholy over like this past, the era we're leaving, where we could be now, like, not fighting the aliens, or, in some sort of deep despair if we had made better choices in the 90s. Sometimes I think about that. I think we kind of went off the tracks a bit. Some of the choices as a society we made, stemming from the 90s. So she picks up this camcorder, and she immediately sees that it's sort of a magical camcorder, and it shows her boyfriend V and the surroundings in its old splendor and current vision of like what could be. So V is like blind in one of his eyes. I believe it's the right eye. And then, but in the camera, he can see out of both eyes. He's, fine. They're all in real life in this world, all torn up, running for their lives, scars and stuff. But in the camera, they're fine. They go into the banquet hall. All of the old decrepit food that was just like left there. But in the camera, when they pretend to eat, they're actually eating food. And so if you really want to see like, okay, well, what this I think triggers in the current generation is like kind of even just the food, getting like a nice meal in Korea is kind of like this struggle, sort of like a out of reach, like when that kind of stuff becomes more and more of a luxury. And I don't know if like you may not really see that or feel that, but you can think about it another way. In Korea, people are much more appreciative of good food. So in some ways that means like it's less common, and it's getting harder and harder for kids. And that's the way I kind of saw this with this cube chasing them. It's sort of like a dream crusher, or like whatever you are being haunted or chased by. Of course, that happens in any time period or any generation or any kind of socioeconomic, cultural situation you might be in. But I think right now we're in this kind of world where it feels like whatever that thing is that chasing you, the demon that's chasing you, seems to be a lot stronger, like a lot tougher, a lot bigger of a foe to handle, you know, whether it's like fear or it's like the dream crusher, or if it's an alien, or because they announced that, like, I guess there are some, or like the patriarch, or global warming, regret, trauma, whatever it is. It seems a little bit bigger. So, like, you know, what are you chased by? And I think that's, in a way, it really kind of, you know, I think hit these like kind of emotion centers there. And then when they made a brief look outside the busted out window, they saw like there's tons of these dream crushers all across the city, you know, invading. And this is like the end. Now, we did see that V did try to take, you know, big stick to it, try to crush the dream crusher, and it didn't work. And I think that's it's a very kind of Korean story motif, you know. It's such a big oppressive force, but you want to, you know, hey, why not just give it your boom, big whack, and then you see them just accept the injustice or their fate. And I think it reiterates this sense of helplessness. And I think that, you know, that really starkly contrasts to that banquet scene of the fantasy banquet scene and the happiness, basically just marriage and a good meal, you know, and a little bit of a song and a nice dress and a tux is you know, it's just like, you know, becoming like way too much of a fantasy now. But this pervasive sense of helplessness, and maybe this is like a warning for us to stop being so tragically helpless, you know, try to, you know, you try to alter this a bit, or just to watch IU and V. Now, if you want to look at the lyrics, I mean, she's basically, it makes it seem to me, if you want to kind of see like, okay, well, is it that pessimistic? Maybe it's not as pessimistic as we think. And the reason why I say that is that when I looked at the lyrics, perhaps in a way this is liberation. Because she starts out saying, "Dearest darling, my universe, would you take me along?" Like, I guess to the cube or to the aliens. Take me there, fine. This place, I don't like this place. Let's go. So she's saying, to a place I can't dream with my poor imagination. So, you know what? It's sort of like give it to God. I'll leave it in your hands. And it's a somewhat strange kind of quandary, though. There is a doubt, like a Hamlet type of doubt. She's like, run away from the world, run on, go to the end with me, my lover. Will it be a bad ending for us two gone astray? So this whole thing of like, all right, if I reject the standard path because it's not working out, and that standard path is not working out for a lot of people, but if you reject it and you try to go in a different direction into a different new world, I mean, am I going to be really screwed? And that is like a huge fear. And I think that kind of resonates to the choice that younger people are having to make right now, because it's, you know, also been very documented that, you know, Gen Z, even millennials are just like, okay, you say we just follow this path and you're forcing us to follow this path because you need us, you know, you need our labor, you know, to help finish up your part of the pyramid scheme, you know, older people, you know, to pay into your retirement schemes. But is it gonna work out for us by the time we're at the end of the road? And in this video, I think we're seeing that, like, it didn't. And then in some ways, maybe they're asking the cube to take them and liberate them away. But then they're also still kind of worried, like, but I don't know if I get on that alien ship, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. And did they get on the alien ship? Yes, they did. If you were wondering, there was a pile of clothes when they entered this hotel. You're like, what is this pile of clothes? It does, I don't know. And then in the end, when they lost out to the cube, and then you saw that the camera recorded the feet of the two, and then they started levitating. And then as they levitated, then you saw like just the clothes fall off and join the pile. So it's like the body snatchers, okay? Like, they levitated and they went away. But before then, they were facing the cube, and IU like covered V's one good eye. I believe, yeah, that was the left eye. So if you want to read into all this Illuminati stuff, like, you know, you covered the left eye, which was starting to cry. And she was watching, and because he was blind, so in the right eye, so he would avoid some of the bad, I don't know, I guess fear or feelings. And then she kept watching, and, you know, there was tears coming, and then that came out of, I believe, her left eye, and that left eye is connected to the right brain, which is the source of feelings and empathy. So maybe the aliens are hunting those, you know, with the feelings and snatching them up. I don't know if for good or bad, but whichever eye you was watching them with, this cube, at least from this music video, it showed them aliens are gonna get you, they're gonna strip you naked, and then they're gonna beam you aboard, because we saw their clothes float down and join that pile of clothes. So that basically means that other people had the same idea of just like trying to run out of the city, and then they found this abandoned hotel, and they're like, okay, well, let's just try to take refuge in here for a little bit. And the same fate happened to all of them. So, were they basically then just killed? Or were they liberated? Or are they basically now body snatched and they're like kind of in a cube somewhere? But in the end, the lyrics say that our love wins all, love wins all, love, love, love. You know? So, is this a happy ending? Is this a sad ending? I think it's just meant for everybody to have their own interpretation of it. But for me, it kind of felt like Titanic, and it felt like kind of a what do you call it when it's like a sad wake up call, like a deep wake up call where you're like, it makes you want to go to sleep, but then it's actually waking you up to something, you know, about, you know, really being aware of, you know, not losing something that was meant to be. Because if you lose something that was meant to be, that's kind of really, 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 really sad. So you gotta fight for it. That's how I took it. And so I thought it was a bit inspirational, even though it was extremely thought-provoking and sad in some ways. Like, it kind of tugged at my heart. But in the end, though, I think it kind of fortified my resolve to go out there and fight for what I believe in. What did this music video mean to you guys? Comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye, guys.